There's someone out there.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris, and today's missing person case is Don. Also, today's person of interest is Olivia. Today's missing person case is Courtney. Hello? Oh, nothing more creepier than a freaking shit. Hello? What's up, everybody? If you can hear me, please put a 1 in the chat. Fix my mic real quick. Okay, it's going good. All right, before we get started, I'm going to play a quick sponsor video real quick, and then we'll get started with today's show. Mob Crew and friends, are you prepared for the widespread food shortages ahead? Farmers have been warning us for months, but are we listening? They say it's beyond their control, especially with the fertilizer crisis. Bottom line, food shortages will be a harsh reality very soon. That's why you should get ready now with emergency food from My Patriot Supply. And good news, today you'll save 20% on their 3-month food kit. These kits provide delicious, easy to make breakfasts, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks for one person for 3 solid months. Get one for each member of your family while you're able to save 20% during this timely sale. Remember, My Patriot Supply is the nation's largest preparedness company with millions of families already protected. These 3-month food kits, which average 2,000 calories a day, are in stock and ready to go. Your order ships fast and free and arrives in unmarked boxes. Go to preparewithwww.preparewiththemobcrew.com. Those who know what's coming are already prepared. Are you? Prepare with www.preparewiththemobcrew.com. Thank you so much. All right, so special shout out to My Patriot Supply for sponsoring today's live show. So I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. I cover murder mystery to the paranormal. And today we're going to do a full timeline of the Delphi Murders. But before we get started, I always like to feature the missing in all my videos. So I do take requests. So if you can ask one of my mods. They can drop my email link. And if you have somebody like a family member or a friend that currently went missing and they need the exposure, you can email me with the details, and I will try to feature them in an upcoming live show. So let's we've got Jennifer Sullivan. She's 45 years old. She went missing at the beginning of this year on January 6th. Missing from New London, Connecticut. She's 5'2", 150 pounds. And here is a close-up picture of her. Let me move this over a little bit. I don't have the details for a phone number, but I will put those in the description after the video. So let's see, unless it has it there, which it doesn't, but I'll put the details at the end of the video. And then I've got one more that was also a request. This is Lauren Gutierrez. Hopefully I pronounced that right. She went missing on October 27th, so just about a week ago. There is an Amber Alert out for her. She's just 14 years old, missing from College Station. She was last seen on the Thursday at approximately 11 p.m. on Harvey Road in Brazos. It is believed that Lauren is with persons unrelated to her more than 3 years older, and that she is in danger or SA, death or serious bodily injury. So that is in Texas. So anybody out there, please keep a lookout for Lauren. If you have any information, please call 911 or your local law enforcement. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch those. Those are really important to me. So moving on to the show. So I thought we'd do, just since everything that's come out with Richard Allen, I haven't really done the whole timeline of what happened to the girls since then. So I thought we'd kind of start from the beginning and then just kind of do a short recap of everything, starting on February 13th, 2017. So let me pull this up real quick, and I've got some. So there are, before I get started, there are some new updates. There's some updates with Kegan Kline about his charges, or some charges getting dropped, which is crazy, which I think just adds more weight that there obviously is a connection between Kline and the Delphi investigation. Where it all fits, it's still, all the pieces are still just kind of coming one at a time, but I think that's huge news, and we'll look at that here towards the end. So starting from the beginning, February 13th, at 1:38, Libby and Abby would be dropped off at the Mears parking lot, which is takes them onto what they call the 501 trail. There's two trails. There's the 501 trail, which kind of runs along here, and then there's a part where it splits off, and that's the 505 trail. But they took the 501 trail. So according to the phone records of Kelsey, who is the sister to Libby, she had a call from her boyfriend at approximately 1:38. So that's kind of how they know that they arrived sometime around 1:38, or I guess you could round it up to 1:40. So after being dropped off, the girls would take the 501 trail. Make sure you guys can see it okay here. Expand this out. So they would approach the first part of the Monon Bridge at about 2:05, because Libby German would take a picture on Snapchat and it would be uploaded at 2:05. So assuming that they got there at approximately 1:40 and they approached the first part of the bridge at 2:05, that gave them about 25 minutes from this entrance at the Mears, which is kind of like a halfway point, to get to the first part of the bridge. I've heard, as far as the 501 trail from the bridge to the Freedom Bridge, this part right here, zoom in actually. I've heard some people say it takes approximately like a half hour to walk this whole 501 trail. So for them, taking 25 minutes from halfway point, I think says that, they're just girls taking their time. Probably, maybe Libby had her phone, obviously. So, but anyway, they would reach the first part of the bridge at 2:05, where she would take their first photo. Chris, I am still blocked from chat line. I did renew my membership. Thank you. Blocked from chat line. As in chatting? Let me see. If you can, Melissa, try reinstalling your YouTube app if you're on the phone. Uh, a lot of people have having a lot of different problems. Obviously, YouTube just did massive updates for the last 2 to 3 months. When that happens, it creates so many problems. I don't even know where to begin. So the best way to do it, I think, would be just to reset everything. And this goes with other people who are having problems, either maybe with their memberships or just notifications, is to either restart the app, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and hopefully that resets it. After the show, I will take a look just to make sure you're not blocked. I don't think so, but I'll see what I can do after the show. I am sorry that happened to you. So now there's platforms on this Monon High Bridge. There's 1 through 6. Take a look here. Zoom. Oh, zoom in here. So as you can see, there's numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first picture was at 2:05, approximately at the first platform. Now Libby is standing on platform 3, looking back at the direction they came from. Takes a picture of Abby, and that uploads at approximately 2:07. And this picture has been, studied 1,000, over 1,000 times by so many people. It doesn't look like there's anybody back there. There was some speculation that there was somebody standing behind this tree, and it looked like a shadow, but everything that came out has been debunked. There's doesn't look to be anybody, at least behind them. So they're halfway through the bridge at 2:07. Libby uploads a picture of Abby walking on the bridge via Snapchat. Both of these snaps were posted directly to Libby's story, meaning it was a post that was able to be viewed by anybody that was added by Libby's friends or Libby's added friends on Snapchat. Uh, oh, interesting. Me too. In a browser, seems me as subscriber cannot post. Interesting. Um, yeah, if you can, same thing. If you can, after the show, try to reinstall your app, or if you're on a computer, maybe reinstall YouTube. That's what I've been hearing as far as fixing the problem. But I will look into it after the show. Thank you so much for the $5, and thank you so much, Melissa, for the $5. Because yeah, that's no fun to have to donate just to be able to chat. That's really weird. So then, as the girls reach the end of the bridge, and then learning from recent documents, this video that's taken of this BG, which is 1 second, that's just relooped, starts at 2:13. He appears to be walking just at the platform 6 here. It has him real close, but I think he's at platform 6 when this video starts. Luckily, Libby, you know, they call her a hero, which she is because she clearly had her phone out, felt something wasn't right, and was able to record this guy. This would also, they would take audio from this video, and this is where we get guys down the hill. But I think guys and down the hill are taken. It's not together. It's cropped. I think guys was said when he was maybe 20, 30 feet away, approximately. Whereas when he says down the hill, uh, clearly you can hear gravel when he says it. So clearly he's caught up to them and he's escorting them down the hill, more likely. Um, that's what I meant. I can't post. That's okay. Yeah, I will look into it after the show. I'm so sorry. That's terrible. Thank you so much for the $5. But yeah, if you can, do try to reinstall that. and let me know if that works. Thank you so much, Renee, for the $5 super sticker. You're so awesome. All the donations and support goes. I put everything right back into the channel to help for the missing. So moving on. So we'll just take a look at Google Earth here. So this is where they would have been dropped off. Oh, let me scale back the time so you guys can see. There, that looks a lot better. So as you can see, there's a little halfway point to put you on there. So it looks like they walked this trail. Took about 25 minutes. They approached the first part of the bridge. Took a couple of Snapchats. And then when they reached the end of the bridge is when this guy showed up out of nowhere. And it only took him 6 minutes to cross that bridge and catch up to him, or less than 6 minutes, I should say. So that's pretty impressive. Clearly, if it is Richard Allen, he did live close by. Here's his home right here. And it's interesting that his, look up Google Maps real quick. The walk time. So let me zoom in. So the walk time from his house to this private driveway only takes 35 minutes to walk. That is nothing. So it could be a possibility. He could have came from the south end. There's always been kind of that notion that he could have walked past him first and then turned around halfway on the bridge. Geneva, thank you for everything you do. Blessing. Thank you so much, Geneva, for the $10. Thank you so much for the support and love. And Freya, thank you so much for the $2.49 super sticker. Okay. Just get caught up. All right. Let me know how the chat is. I got it 10 seconds slow time. If it's too slow or too fast, let me know, mods. So that would take him no time just to walk there. Would be 35 minutes, and then drive time would be even less, 5 minutes. So it wouldn't be hard to imagine that he could have walked there. You have Bridge Creek right here that runs. So you have Deer Creek here, and then you got this little creek, which is Bridge Creek, that runs along the south here. He could have easily trekked through this without ever being seen. He is obviously an avid hiker from all the videos we've seen on Facebook, so he is at least in decent shape. So, okay, so moving on. There's one thing that I'm missing, Delphi. And there's some new newer interviews that I also snagged, and we'll look at those. And if you're kind of newer to the case and you're curious about the timeline, this Actus Reus is a really good source. I've used it since day one. It's amazing. It tells you everything. I just clearly took some screenshots from this page to kind of go along with the story here. So let me get caught up here. So now they were only supposed to be there for maybe an hour to 2 hours. The father, Derek German, was supposed to pick them up around, I believe, 4 or 5. He does show up at the parking lot at 3:14 and starts looking for the girls. So I guess he was supposed to pick them up around 3 or 4. He pulls up into the parking lot. He doesn't see the girls. He does try to call Liberty's phone at 3:14. The phone goes straight to voicemail. Derek German does take the same path from the Mears parking lot. Then I believe he does run into who we call Flannel Shirt Guy, who is a possible witness. Unfortunately, Derek German, when he ran into Flannel Shirt Guy, when he asked if this guy had seen the girls, because he was coming back from the 501 trail, he said no. So unfortunately, Derek German would take the 505 trail, which kind of just takes you down south and not where the bridge is at. And moving on, at 4 p.m., Derek would return back to his car at the parking lot. He would make some calls, and then eventually they would get a missing persons report out, and they would start looking for the girls shortly after that. And then they would look for the girls the rest of the night, but they would unfortunately not find them. The search would continue till around midnight, and then I believe they did cancel it just out of the safety of the volunteers. And then they did resume the search the next day early in the morning. And then they would unfortunately find the girls' bodies shortly around noon on February 14th. And their bodies would be found across the creek. This is just kind of an approximate location right here, about, they say, 50 feet from the Deer Creek. I have a question that I would like to ask you. Do you think they shot a video of it? I think there is some kind of memorabilia. Obviously, I don't know, but I think there is something. Maybe pictures, could be a video. I'm sure we'll learn that stuff in due time, but I wouldn't be surprised. There's been talk of that in the warrants, that there's been some kind of memorabilia that was, digital. The Ron Logan warrant did suggest that stuff like that could have happened, because they were looking for digital evidence at the Ron Logan's property, which this property here, this is Ron Logan's residence right here. So I'm not sure his exact property line, but obviously it's something like this here. So the bodies would be sadly found on his property, and of course that would create a lot of problems for poor Ron Logan, because he unfortunately made up an alibi that day to kind of save his butt from, because he had a suspended license, and so he had a buddy create a fake alibi for him. So that didn't look good, and so I think they kind of got distracted with Ron Logan for a while, because they found the bodies on his property. And yeah, so moving on. Let's see, go here. I'm not going to do every bit of the conference, but so then, yeah, of course, they would start releasing some sketches. And then the big one would be 2019, where they'd hold a press conference in April. This is where they supposedly changed directions and basically hit the restart button and start, going back through everything that they had. So, and it sounds like hopefully this is whatever happened. This route that they led took them to Kegan Kline. So moving to August 2020, they would now, shortly after the murders of Abby and Libby, 10 to 11 days later, they would search the property of the Klines in Peru. And then, for whatever reason, they never arrested Kegan, but they did find devices that had, CSAM and terrible stuff on them. but fortunately, they didn't arrest him until August 2020. And we would learn that he had created a catfishing account called Anthony Shots. This was created on 7/14 and 7/20 of 2016. So just half a year later, half a year prior to the murders. Then we kind of get an idea from the transcripts, and according to ISP, Anthony Shots was communicating with Libby sometime before their murders. And then they did have, through the transcripts that they released, they felt like law enforcement felt like there was more than one person using this Anthony Shots catfishing account to speak with underage girls, just because of the writing styles and the persona. And so obviously one would be Kegan. Um, then, it could have been Richard Allen, could have been the secondary person using this Anthony Shots account. Some of the weird things that Kline did directly after the murders is that he would claim that he went to Las Vegas and change a bunch of dates when he wasn't in Vegas. He said that he became a table dealer, and he worked for a CBD store, and then also an armed forces security guard, all of which was not true. One of the biggest things here is it looked like he was trying to create an alibi because he would say on February 12th that he started a new job in Vegas, but he was not in Vegas during that time. As a matter of fact, during the murders, he would be pinged through his phone via Wi-Fi near his grandparents' residence, I believe. So moving on, then actually it's not November, I believe it's December of last year is when they announced this whole Anthony Shots about communicating with young girls, and this is where they tied this into Abby and Libby in Delphi. So that was big news. And then shortly that next year, or this year, early on, is when they would release those transcripts, where we would learn a lot of information about what Kegan was doing. And we also learned that he was also not only talking to Libby, or at least Anthony Shots was talking with Libby, but also one of her friends before that. And then so this is where he lived in Peru, and just 6 minutes away, they would do a search of the Wabash River. And so that started approximately August 17th or 18th. Kline would be let out of the jail for a day and supposedly came to the Wabash River to point something out. And then they would continue searching for the next 5 to 6 weeks. And that would run into September. And then on Monday, September 19th, there would be a helicopter that would land close by. We're not sure if it's related. Many people do think it had something to do because shortly after that, they would pack up and leave after searching that river for, was it? Let's see. Yeah, 6, 7. So let's start 1, 2. So yeah, 6 weeks. So after that, so September 20th was the last day we see them in the Wabash River. Rumors was that they did find something. Other thing that was interesting is that they did arrest his cousin Travis Trexler during the middle of the search in the Wabash River. We're not sure if that was just unrelated, but the timing is coincidental. And that was on the 1st of September. What's up, Sleuth Intuition? Sorry for I feel so bad for mispronouncing your name. It's whenever I see that word, I always want to say initiation for some reason. So I sincerely apologize for mispronouncing your YouTube channel name, Intuition. So good to see you, buddy. Yennefer, thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting this channel. I appreciate it so much. Okay, so moving on here. So the whole Vegas thing, even Kline even said, after the murders that he'd been in Vegas for months. And it come to find out that I don't know the exact dates, but he was only out there for, a few weeks. Definitely not as long as what he was telling his family members. So to me, that's a huge red flag. Pass up on that. And then here is just all these different persons of interest. This is just a handful of just a batch of the crazy speculation and person of interests that were brought up within these last 5.5 years. A lot of them were connected to Ron Logan, but I don't think now with everything coming out, I don't really think any of these guys had anything to do with it. But then again, I don't know. We'll have to see what plays out. So moving forward, so since let me go back to that date. So the last main activity we saw was on September 20th. And then, so almost just basically a month later, after this Wabash River search, they would arrest Allen. Richard Allen, who is 50 years old. He would have been approximately 44 because his birthday is in September. So, yeah, I think he would have been 44 at the time of the murders. He says he's 5'4". I think he could be an inch or two taller. A fellow employee said he was 5'7" and felt like Richard was about an inch shorter. So he could be, 5'5", 5'6". Approximately 180 pounds, blue eyes. Did have short brown hair. Now has short gray hair with a facial mustache and goatee. In his mugshot, clearly he's got a long goatee going on. His address is clearly 5 minutes away from the Monon High Bridge. He did live at this residence for 16 years. Approximately 16 years. So since 2006, December 1st. Prior to that, he did live in Mexico, Indiana. Not Mexico, but Mexico, Indiana, which is north. And then I believe Monticello. Monticello. I'll have to look that up, but for the most part, he lived here for 16 years. One of the things that someone showed me, and I've seen a lot of Reddit and Facebook posts that kind of knew Alan, said that he was an avid smoker. And here I actually found one of his pictures where you can actually see, make sure you guys can see that okay. You can see a pack with a lighter sitting on top. So can't tell. It's kind of a weird packet. It's yellow. I don't know. Maybe American Spirits or something. But what's interesting about that is when they were recovering the bodies, February 14th and February 15th, at the crime scene. They did recover some cigarette butts. Um, so it's possible maybe those were Richard Allen's if they were near the crime scene. Let me get caught up here. Excuse me. Yes, he did have a wife, and they say two kids. I know of the one. I'm just wondering if the other one is because they're married would be considered his stepchild, but I'm not sure. I just know of the one. But yeah, the one, the daughter is married. She's 28. Obviously, we're gonna name her name. But yeah, so he was a family man. So yeah, he was born on September 9th, 1972. He would frequent this JC bar, which we do have a short little interview with the bar owner that we'll play here in a little bit. So apparently they started searching his home on the 17th. And then they arrested Allen. Originally, they said they arrested Allen on the 28th, but it looks like this has been corrected, and he was arrested on the 26th, and then 2 days later, on that Friday, the 28th, he would be charged with the 2 counts of murder. Ooh, yeah, I've been looking into that. That's funny you mentioned that up or mentioned that. Thank you, AJ. Yeah, I'm looking at some videos and see if I can kind of. There isn't a lot to work with, but we'll see what we can do. Definitely have done some audio comparisons, and if we get time, I'll play my latest one. It was a quick, short video, just straight to the point. Um, but yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of match up his gait. So some of the things that they took from Alan's home, according to Barbara McDonald, because they were there that day, they took 2 bundles of dark cloth or clothing, a shoebox, which just when I hear shoebox, I think memorabilia comes to mind, a Macy's shopping bag, flash photography items in the shed. So I'm not sure the way that's worded is did they take pictures of the shed or is this flash photography that they took from the shed? Then they also were digging around the shed, and they said that Barbara said that it looked like they were using some metal detectors. And then also they took a vehicle, which is seen right here. Make sure my head's not in the way here. That over just a little bit. So it looks like he. Let me move this real quick here. So it's tough to say. I'm still trying to do a little research on see what kind of vehicle this is. Um, and then one of the pictures, you do see this vehicle parked here. I don't think this is the same driveway, but it does look eerily similar to the one that's sitting on the tow truck here. So it could be possible this is the vehicle. Um, he is apparently sitting in the van with his wife while they were at the house for about approximately almost 12 hours. They got there, I think, at around noon, and then they didn't leave until after 11 p.m. that day. Yeah, he's with his wife, I think. Yeah, she sat in the van most of the time. I guess he was kind of standing out for some of the time. But here's a picture of the house. Here we can kind of see the shed. I'm assuming this is the shed that they took some items and flash photography of. So here's just a picture of his state ID. The other thing I'm still looking into is when I did the background report, it did pull up a VIN number, and that VIN number led to a silver Dodge Ram 1500 2013. But I have not seen that vehicle or any mention of it since like the first couple of days, because they said they took a truck away, but obviously clearly they took a SUV away. So I'm still trying to figure what is going on there, unless maybe this is like a vehicle he gave to his daughter or something. So Richard worked at the CVS store just 5 minutes away from the Monon High Bridge as a pharmacy tech slash like supervisor lead or shift supervisor. Just backing out, looking at the this so you guys can see a little better. There we go. So everything was just right there. So you got his home right here. You have the middle school that I believe Abby and Libby went to there. The infamous Marathon gas station, which he would pass to go to work back and forth. It's like right in the middle. The CVS store is located here, just 5 minutes from his home. This happens to be I guess the only pharmacy in Delphi. I mean, it is a town of only 3,000 people. So you can only imagine how many people had to have interacted with him. Okay, so let me close that. And then what's eerie is he actually printed out the sketches for. It's been a little confusing because they say Becky and Patty went in there, but apparently I believe it's Tara German was the one that went and got the copies of the sketches, and then that they didn't charge them, but it was eerie that they would go to the store that Richard Allen, who if is convicted and is BG, it's crazy. And then here's Allen, of course, sitting at the JC bar, right by his BG poster, which also there was one at his work. Pull that one. I meant to show that one. There it is. Pull that one out real quick. So here is a picture of inside the store, and as you can see, here is the FBI poster with the BG and the young guy sketch. And so it's pretty crazy when he wasn't home, either when he was working or out at the bar, which he frequent, he was close to his own wanted poster. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, weren't investigators digging around a makeshift burn pit in the backyard as well? Yeah, I'm still looking into that. I think that is true. The speculation on that is that he, after they showed up, apparently he tried to burn something, and then they did recover some items or whatever from the burn pit. I'm still looking into that, but yeah, I think that's more true than probably rumor. So we'll look at some of the latest interviews. Some, like I said, with the bar owner, some locals, some neighbors. So we're going to play those. And then for those that might be newer to the case and not familiar with the actual terrain, I took a couple of clips from a video from a long time ago that kind of shows what that terrain is like with him escorting him down the hill. So let me pull this up Oh, let me quickly just let's back out. Where did I put it? Let's quickly touch on this real quick because this is interesting. So this was released by Angela Gonot. She is with I believe, yeah, Fox 59. This is huge because we've always speculated, okay, there's got to be a connection with the Klines. Um, and here she released this about 7 hours ago. And this is huge. It says Miami County prosecutor asks a judge to drop 5 charges and amend more than a dozen other charges against Kegan Kline. Kline held on 30 charges of CSAM for over 2 years. He is also linked to the Delphi investigation, but not named a suspect. So, just looking at that a little bit closer. So it says court documents filed Wednesday. So that would be, I'm assuming, yesterday. Show Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Peter asked the court to dismiss 5 counts of possession due to insufficient evidence. Proof stands counts beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. The 28-year-old Kline has become synonymous with the Delphi murder investigation. He used a fake profile to communicate with at least 15 underage girls, including the Delphi victim Libby German. As for Kline's current case, prosecutors are asking a judge to amend more than a dozen charges. This request includes downgrading several counts from level 4 to level 5 felony, or level 5 to level 6. Level 4 to level 5 felony, or level 5 to level 6. And then, of course, he is scheduled for his jury trial in January. I think he still has his final pre-trial in December. So I think that speaks volumes. That maybe he made some kind of plea agreement, and I don't think it's coincidence that less than a month later, or about a month later, after this Wabash River search happened, and hearing that he supposedly confessed and all this other stuff, that some of these charges are getting dropped. I know that may upset a lot of people just because for what he has done, he's hurt a lot of people. He deserves the worst. But this does answer a question that there's clearly some connection to the Kline in the Delphi investigation. What ages is this guy into? Do the girls fit his motive? If you're talking about Richard, I don't know. Kegan, very young. But yeah, I'm assuming you're maybe asking about Richard. Yeah, I don't know that this time. We're not really sure what the connection, or if he was using that Anthony Shots account. It wouldn't surprise me. Okay, so that takes care of that. So let's look at a couple of interviews. And then, like I said, if you guys didn't see my video earlier, I did do another voice comparison. If we get a little bit of time, we'll take a look at that. And I'll kind of explain why using the different words that I had to work with as far as guys down the hill. Guys is probably the best word to work with. Down the hill, it's a lot harder, but I'll explain that when we get to that point.
Did a monster walk these?
Whip that over. Make sure you guys can see that. Okay.
Streets of small town USA. To the good people of Delphi, Indiana, population just 2,972, 50-year-old Richard Allen was one of their own. Everyone knew him. He worked at the local CVS pharmacy, the only drugstore in town. Today, they are reeling in shock after he was charged with the slayings of teens Abby Williams and Libby German. Reminders of the manhunt have been everywhere in Delphi for 5 years, including the bar where Allen was photographed smiling, a sketch of the wanted man behind him. Bob Matlock owned the bar.
It's such a shock, I just can't see it.
Oh, wow.
In Rick, knowing the Rick I know.
New details of Allen's life are emerging. He was known around town as Rick or Ricky. He's lived in Delphi for about 15 years. He has no criminal history, just 2 speeding tickets and a seatbelt violation. He and his wife, Kathy, have 2 children. At a news conference in 2019, 2 sketches of the suspect have been released by investigators over the years, and Allen resembles the first most.
I kind of disagree with the resemblance. Oops. I really think he's got, especially the nose. I mean, the facial, I'd agree with. You know, if he had his just clean cut goatee going on. But the nose from I guess from certain light, I guess the nose does kind of match up, but I think it matches up a lot better with the young guy sketch.
Most. Authorities are tight-lipped about the case against Allen, and today there's an intriguing possible explanation.
Why are officials being so secretive?
I think it's because they believe there could be another person involved.
Prosecutor Nicholas McClelland was asked if investigators think Allen had an accomplice.
We haven't closed the door on the investigation, and so that's why we keep the tip line and the tip email open.
The fact that they are saying, send us tips, this is not over, please do not think this is over, makes us wonder, are they looking at other people?
Richard Allen.
No. Allen is 50 years old. He also goes by Rick or Ricky. He's lived in Delphi for at least 16 years, and his home is less than 2 miles from the Monon High Bridge, where Abby and Libby disappeared before they were murdered.
Yeah, a lot of people say I only see him in the young. Yeah, I think the young guy sketch, it's just too bad that it's the overall sketch, it's a younger guy, so I could easily see why he would, be able to just hide in plain sight because you're thinking of a younger guy.
Records show the suspect previously lived in Greenwood and in Mexico, Indiana. We also know Allen is a licensed pharmacy technician. He received his Indiana license in 2018, and it's still active. Neighbors told 13 News Allen worked at the CVS in Delphi, and today CVS confirmed that for us. He has no criminal history, a few speeding tickets and a citation for not wearing a seatbelt, but that's it. State police told us.
So some interviews with some locals here.
Allen has entered a not guilty plea, and he's being held at the White County Jail without bond.
The probable cause and the charging information has been sealed by the court.
So update on that, if you don't know. So, of course, right away, people, I think Fox 59 and a bunch of others did try to, of course, request that to be unsealed. So they have a public hearing on the 22nd. So a little less than 3 weeks away as far as trying to get that unsealed.
Prosecutor says he asked a judge to keep the document under seal because the investigation is ongoing and investigators want more tips from the public.
It is surprising.
Novella Neediff spent 2 decades as a public defender and now teaches law at Indiana University. She says she's never heard of a prosecutor keeping a probable cause affidavit secret in such a high-profile case. She says releasing the information helps ensure due process for the defendant and allows the public to ask important questions. In this case,
custody, charged with the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. Libby's grandparents, Mike and Becky Patty, say they've been processing the impact of Allen's arrest for the past few days.
I don't feel like I thought I would. I've always said that I would be screaming on the rooftops, but we're not. It's sad.
Alan lived just 5 minutes from the Monon High Bridge Trail, where Abby and Libby went missing February 13th, 2017. Their bodies were discovered near the woods just 1 day later. Mike says while Alan worked and lived in their small town of less than 3,000, they didn't know him.
Doug Carter said that early on, if you recall. He said he's hiding in plain sight, and that's the case. Didn't know I don't know the gentleman personally at all, So I've probably seen him, but it's a small county, But definitely I don't know him.
Kelsey German, Libby's sister, tweeting this morning after Alan's arrest was announced, saying, "We got him." Now, Becky says after half a decade spent fighting for answers, what's next for them feels less certain.
Our lives for 5.5 years have been in a search mode. And that's what we've done. And you get up and it's like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. So we're all just kind of feeling our way and figuring out what our purpose is next.
It's
Okay, so now this is where, I forgot. I got the parents' interview, and now this is where the interviews with some of the locals.
relieving, makes me feel safer.
Hopefully he talks. Hopefully he puts out everything that they need and they can wrap this up, because some babies deserve this. They deserve this.
When neighbors learned Alan was a part of the community,
lived here and was in the community and ran around like there was nothing going on, And it's kind of a slap to the face.
He interacted with everybody in this town. He interacted with all of our children, our babies, our teenagers, with us. He told us to have a good day, stay safe, Everyday normal conversation. This man carried on with his life like it was nothing.
Yeah, everybody says that for the most part he was polite and somewhat funny. And there was an incident on Reddit that was posted. Maybe in a future video we'll look at it. But there was apparently one day at the bar that I guess I can't remember what it was. Well, if we get time, we'll look at it. But he did kind of reveal his true colors, at least a little bit, about apparently he was going to beat his wife in the parking lot. But other than that, it seems like he was able to just blend right in. Suspicious activity 81. Is this a death penalty case? That's a good question. It is. Obviously, they have the death penalty. Who knows? Yeah, I am not sure. At this point, I think it's just still a little early on in the investigation. I got to figure out who did what, and then maybe go from there. But obviously, Indiana does have the death penalty, so it'd be interesting. And if whoever is involved, I hope they do get it for sure. Thank you so much for the $2, buddy. Yeah, Lady Gumshoe. Yeah, I just went over that a little bit earlier. Yep. We found a picture of him sitting next to a pack of his smokes. And yep, that's right. They did find cigarette butts at the crime scene. Rita says, I wonder if he purposely checked himself into rehab after the murder to hide out for a while. I'm convinced he wasn't his first major attack or murder. Yeah, some people think that, the Evansdale murders could be connected. So who knows? He didn't have a background, so with aggravating, gosh, if I can talk right, with aggravating factors, it does qualify death penalty. Thank you so much, True Crime Web, Steve. I think Steve's going to be going live later tonight, so if you get a chance, go subscribe over to his channel. I have him on my show quite often. Former law enforcement, amazing guy. Okay, moving on.
as questions about Richard Allen remain, neighbors want to know one thing.
I don't know, just wonder why it happened,
And those answers might not ever
Reasons for the search warrant. The FBI agent noted that pieces of clothing from one of the victims were missing and that it appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. There were no visible signs of a struggle or fight. Investigators recovered fibers and unidentified hairs at the crime scene. The agent also suspected a souvenir had been taken by the killer and that it was common for perpetrators to memorialize the crime scene with pictures. It's not clear if anything was.
So yeah, that's always been something, that there's been some kind of memorabilia of the crime. So, eventually we will find out. Yes, this is one of the most biggest cases that I'm most passionate about. I mean, I even dressed up as BG just to try to get an idea of, the main purpose of that was try to get an idea of, was he wearing a fanny pack or was that just a brown hoodie that was kind of sticking out? My consensus that it was a fanny pack that was sticking out.
Work, but a lot of.
So this is a lawyer, I believe. I forget his credentials, but this guy answers, of course, one of the big questions is why haven't they? Why did they seal this when they normally don't seal the probable cause affidavit? So here's an expert analyst answer for why he thinks they sealed it.
Of unanswered questions, right? What do you want to know here? We a lot of stuff.
That's great. Obviously, what people want to know is what led to the charges. The complaint that was filed in this case is still under seal. Now, it's not unusual to have a complaint or a charging document sealed prior to arrest and up to the time of the initial appearance, which I'm not sure if it was over the weekend or earlier today. But for some reason, the prosecution asked for this complaint to be continued under seal, which is somewhat unusual because you now have a defendant that's charged. He has trial dates coming up, and he needs to have those charging documents to see what the evidence is against him. And that obviously is what the prosecution is trying to withhold, for at least for the time being.
One of the things they did say at the news conference earlier this morning was that they're keeping both the email tip line and the phone tip line open, kind of alluding to the possibility of another individual or individuals being involved here. What, in your mind, might be some of the reasons that they are handling this the way they are, not publicizing any of these details?
Well, there's a couple things, Anthony, that come to mind. First of all, they offered a reward very early on, and I think at one point it ballooned up to $300,000 for information leading to the identification and arrest of the persons involved in this. It's quite possible that the charges that were filed were based on a tip that was received from a member of the public, and they want to keep that person their identity protected as long as possible. They could even be looking at witness protection for that person. Right. Filed were based on a tip that was received from a member of the public, and they want to keep that person their identity protected as long as possible. They could even be looking at witness protection for that person. It's possible that after his arrest, the defendant in this case gave a confession, which might have led to the implication of other individuals. They want to keep that secret until they can run those leads down. But I think what you alluded to earlier is probably the best explanation. They have reason to believe that other people were involved either in the actual crime or the cover-up after the fact.
Which is quite possible. Like I said, this whole thing going down with Kegan Kline, charges being dropped, and then this supposed confession that took place, and him saying he was there, sitting in a red Jeep, says that there's a good possibility that there's something going on before or after, possibly even during, where Richard Allen did have help.
And they want to have time to run those leads down without exposing to the public and, by extension, the person that might be involved, what that evidence is.
Right. Would you be surprised?
RTV Investigates Kara Kenny joins us live now with what she's uncovering. Kara.
There's one more interview with a couple of locals. I think one of the girls might have gone to school with Abby and Libby, or Libby, one of them?
That's right, Nicole. Richard Allen is actually a longtime member of the community. He's actually lived here in Delphi for at least the past 16 years. He's owned this home on Whiteman Drive since 2006, a middle-class neighborhood with multiple homes. It's half a mile from the middle school where Abby and Libby attended. It's also 2.5 miles from the Monon High Bridge where their bodies were found nearby. Allen has virtually no criminal history. We could only find 2 speeding tickets and a seatbelt violation. Richard Allen is a licensed pharmacy technician in the state of Indiana. He worked at a CVS in Delphi. We've just confirmed that. CVS Corporate just sent us the following statement. As members of the Carroll County community, we remain devastated by these murders, and our hearts go out to the German and Williams families. We are shocked and saddened to learn that one of our store employees was arrested as a suspect in these crimes. We stand ready to cooperate with the police investigation in any way we can. Now, we have reached out to Allen's family via email, via phone, and we have not been able to reach them. We also stopped by Allen's home just about an hour ago, and no one answered the door. We're live in Delphi. Kara Kenny,
Yeah, I'm sure. Anybody's going to be talking. Were their bodies found with all their clothes except the hinted at trophy? Yeah, I think there was missing one article of underwear and a sock, I believe, that's missing. Could be wrong, but I think that's the 2. Thank you so much, Michelle, Nicholas. Hit that like button. Yes, if you could, while you can, hit that thumbs up. It helps the stream out. Thank you so much, Michelle, for the $2. Get caught up here.
TV.
Kara, thank you. And for the community of Delphi.
Okay, so I skip it forward to...
And fear.
The backside of our house is along a woods and a creek, and so just having that similar environment of where those girls were at, having that similar environment of my house, I just always made sure that there was somebody there so that I wasn't put in a bad situation.
To find out that the possible suspect was living among them during an intense national search that lasted more than 5 years is baffling to many who called the city of 3,000 home.
He wasn't from New York or California or Indianapolis. Apparently a local guy who was amongst you. What do you make of that this person was able to not be identified for 5 years?
So that shocks me. I think that's the way I was able to kind of think that things were normal, by thinking it was from outside of our community. And so to think that all this time, that's a shock.
Being a small rural community that Carroll County is, that it would be hard to hide amongst us, just because we are, you know your neighbors, you know the people down the road, and it kind of is your own neighborhood watch, I guess, if you want to say that. You wouldn't have thought that they would be right in your backyard. I just hope that this truly is closure for the family. Being a mother of young daughters myself, you just hope that they can go out into the community safely, walk those trails, and not have to worry about somebody still being at large.
And nothing's going to be able to replace what he's done by taking away those poor lives of those.
Oh, okay. I know what that is. Okay. Should we play that first? Yeah, we'll take just a look at this. Comes from Anthony Greeno. His channel got taken down, but he put together a video where they did a reenactment. I thought it was really interesting, just to kind of show people, if they never been at this, obviously if they've never been at Delphi, at the Monon High Bridge, and just kind of what the terrain is like, what they experienced. I think this is really interesting and fascinating. So let me back it up a little bit. So this is just kind of a reenactment. What you're looking at right there is, I believe that's the private driveway, which is under this bridge, which kind of rolls along. So there's 2 big banks that they'd have to go down. The theory is that, this guy probably was going to try to take him to a secluded area back here and then maybe do other things. But then the girls ran, and they ran across the creek. I don't see why he would want to escort him across the creek, which you'll see here in just a minute, because the creek, it's the banks on the other side of the creek, and you'll see here in just a second, they're really steep. Yeah, there's certain areas that you are a little bit better accessible, but I mean, as you can see where they're walking, I mean, it's like 6, 8 feet almost straight up. I mean, that's hard to just straight climb up, unless you're in decent shape. So it's always kind of theorized. The girls did try to run, and then he caught up to maybe one of them, and then that forced the other one not to run away, because they always said that the girls always stuck together, and they were heroes because they never left each other's side. So here's just kind of what it looks like. Walking to the trail. This is the Freedom Bridge. I'm just going to fast forward. This is kind of from the Freedom Bridge to the 501 trail. I just wanted to show one more thing from this video, which I think is a little interesting. And that is, if I can stop it just right. It totally makes sense for a local to have done this because of this right here. So this is basically kind of a trespassing. So really, moving over to the bridge here. What the girls would have typically probably have done is walk the 501 trail. When they got to the end of the bridge, instead of like walking and going somewhere else, this is pretty much a dead end because you've got private property here. And so the only real way back is to, unless somebody picked you up on this private driveway here, but is to turn back around. So it would make sense that a local like Richard Allen would probably have known that, especially him being an experienced hiker. He would have known that these girls, once they get to the end of this bridge, is basically the dead end and that they need to turn around. And so he could have easily cornered them. And then we know that he did have a firearm permit along with his wife. She also had a firearm permit. I'm sure that he probably escorted them with with some kind of weapon. I did want to play this one last scenario. Fast forward just a little bit. Okay, right here. This is the one I wanted to show you. This is what I think probably happened. Those girls were running, and then maybe one of them fell just like this right there, like that poor girl did. And that is cold water. That's early February. I can't imagine how cold that water would be. So probably could have caught up to one of them while they were trying to run. And sadly was able to control them. Thank you, Raja Holyfield, for the $5. And Jennifer, thank you for keeping us informed. Appreciate your energy. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for the $10. Thank you guys so much for helping supporting this channel. Like I said, I do as much as I can to give back. Yeah, it is. It's really an eye opener, and it's taken down from YouTube, which, I know that content creators, is a little controversial, but this reenaction video that he did do, I think was brilliant, just to kind of give an idea of what they kind of experienced that day and what that terrain is like. So to me, I think I'm so glad that I was able to snag it. I literally downloaded it like days before his channel got taken down. So I'm so glad I was able to keep that, just because I think it really kind of gives you a good idea of what they kind of had to go through. Make sure I caught up with everything. Hologram, thank you so much for the $4.99 the super sticker. Okay, get caught up here. So a couple more things. Let's see, where was it? So like I said, if you didn't see my video, I'll play this just one time for you guys, because I did try to do some audio. Oh, actually, let me pull it up for you guys so you can guys see it. Some files, comparison. Oops, come back. Oh. Oh, yeah, that works. Okay. That works. It puts it together. Sorry, guys. I'm just, I gotta pull up the right one here. There we go. That's the better one. There we go. Okay. Because as you guys know, I been trying to do some things with the audio enhancements, and I did find that it's really hard to work with down the hill. I think, in my opinion, I think what happened is with guys, the phone was out of the pocket. You know, she was still kind of recording him walking, and they were kind of exchanging words. But clearly, obviously, he gets closer. She probably most likely put that in her pocket. So the down the hill part is kind of muffled, and it's really hard to match, because he does say "the" in the words that I have, and I'll play that one little part for you. But it's so quick and it's so soft that it's really hard to gauge. Like guys is like the perfect word out of the 4 words to like try to match up with. So sure I didn't miss anything. Stacy D, thank you for all you do. Thank you so much, Stacy D. As I said, we try to approach things at all different angles. So let me play. So what you're looking at here is just the basic version of Guys Down the Hill without any filters. And then this is all the words that I've got from BG or Richard talking.
The cable snapped. Where's the word shirt coming up?
And he basically says, the cable snapped, and sounds like wheelchair is coming up. And so this is what it sounds like when you expand Guys Down the Hill. It gives it, I run filters. It gives it more volume. It has more highs and more lows. And you can just see this is right here. This is Guys Down the Hill. This right here is the same thing. You can see it's a lot more fuller. It's got a lot more body to it. So anyway, fast forwarding. So early on, I did match cables to guys, which I think is pretty darn close. The reason why I use cables is, as you can see here, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. As you can see, it's got some high pitch to it. Right here is guys, and this has got the highest pitch to it. So I wanted to use whatever words he had with the highest pitch and match them together.
Cables. 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 Cables.
I feel like that's pretty close. I did try to work with the, and this is where I'm working with down the hill. Oh, that's right here. But I think it's really tough. Yeah, really tough to work with just down the hill. It says super soft. So then I came across another word which has got a high pitch to it, and that is him saying coming up. As you can see, it's got some high pitch, kind of matches that same range. So we'll put those two together. Oops. I think it's pretty darn close. It's not 100% in my opinion. I know there's a lot of people say, yeah, that's 100%. And if you feel that way, that's great. Like I said, I think it's darn close. Thank you so much, Barbara, for the $4.99 super sticker. You're so awesome. So, okay, so I'm going to show you guys that. So let's close that. Save. Let's see if there's any. Oh, of course, the one little update with the judge. Of course, the judge is freaking out. So it looks like he recused himself. Is that what I'm hearing? Because apparently he doesn't have enough help. So he's freaking out. He did post this, or filed this. I'm not gonna read it all. I will read this one little part if you haven't seen it. So it says, while this officer is responsible for the entirety of the circuit court docket, it attempts to ignore the maelstrom of interest from the public. It is known that YouTube already hosts content regarding family members of this judicial officer, including photos. The public's bloodlust for information before it exists is extremely dangerous. All public servants administrating this action do not feel safe and are not protected. So they're kind of freaking out. They feel like people are bloodlust for information and dangerous. And so, and then of course they're short-handed at this this courthouse, I guess. And so this guy's kind of like freaking out. So people are saying that he has recused himself. That I did not know, which is interesting. Let's see. As far as the public's desire to learn about access to court records, that educational effort cannot be by this officer educating each individual ad hoc whenever they choose to seek public information. The defendant indicated at the initial hearing an intention to hire private counsel. Defendant is reminded that he must retain counsel within 20 days of the initial hearing because there are deadlines for filing motions, raising defense. Deadlines are not met. Legal issues, defenses that could be raised from waived or given up. So this was ordered on the 3rd day of November. So that was yesterday. Correct? Or today's the 3rd. So pretty interesting. Hopefully they do get everything under control. That's the last thing they need at this going forward. Let me see if there's any little new updates real quick. So there's a petition. Interesting. Okay, let's see. This is a petition. McLeland. The county prosecutor had a reason for sealing this arrest and evidence record, and this is not usually the circumstances. He cited Rule 6 of Indiana rules to access court records, which states in extraordinary circumstances, a court record that would otherwise be publicly accessible may be excluded from public access by court. If a requester makes a written request that shows decimation of the record will create significant risk or substantial harm or a prejudicial effect to ongoing proceedings that cannot be avoided if the record is released. So I guess this is. I will post this if you guys want to sign this. If you feel, I think a lot of people have got mixed feelings on this, but I will post this if you feel like you want this kept secret. Is that the best link? See if I can get this to you guys real quick. And it is. That's not going to fit. Okay, I guess I will have to put that at the end of the show. That's weird. So if you're interested in that, I'll post that out of respect for the family, because it sounds like Becky Patty, it's something that Becky Patty wanted. Now, I did tell you guys that they are going to have a hearing about this sealed record on November 22nd. So close that out. And we'll check to see if there's anything else new. So these documents filed today. Judge recusal. Sheriff's request to move Allen to the state dock for safekeeping. Oh, okay. So here's that. Okay, so the judge of Carroll Circuit Court has determined that the particular circumstances with the underlying case warrant recusal and dictate that a special judge to be appointed in this case. The court hereby recuses itself. Wow. That is wild. The defendant has been charged in a high-profile case, creating potential safety and security concerns because of extensive coverage from an array of various media platforms, both mainstream and social, throughout the state, the United States, and the world. Charged. Aforementioned. Okay, nothing really relevant, just more of the same. And then this is what I just read to you guys, so. Huh. Interesting. So, same thing. Judge recused himself, but yeah, so just to recap what everything we went through. So the petition. Let's see, this has got a better link to it. Copy. Let me see if this link will work better. If not, I'll put it in the description. Oh, that one actually might work. Okay, cool. So if you're curious and you do want to sign that, there's the link to that. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll here. Now it just disappeared on me. Anyway, it 43% think the Klines were involved with Richard Allen. I think that was the highest one. And then the second one was, yes, somebody else did help him, but they're not sure who it was. So, let me see what we got here in the comments. Oh, there's Tony from EquiSearch. So you guys know, not only do I cover big cases, but of course I like to help search for the missing. And we just got done doing a 5-day trip looking for Dylan Rounds. Unfortunately, I can't really talk about the details, but it was an experience that I'll never forget and would do again in a heartbeat. Tony and their team, EquiSearch, is amazing. I learned so much, and I do have a lot of behind the scenes photos for my members, which isn't public, that I can share some of that stuff, but a lot of it I have to kind of keep to myself. But hey, Pixels, good to have you in here. I think he just did a video about, let's pull him up real quick, Pixels. I think he just did a video talking about the possible connection between Kegan and Richard. Am I correct? Oops, that's not the one I want. All right, bear with me here. Oh, where is Fig in here? I know you're in here. Fig, where are you? There you are. Replay KK connection theories. So, a 9-minute video. Looks like he uploaded yesterday. He's always got some very interesting videos. If you're curious about that, please go check that out. I agree. I definitely think there is a connection, especially now that they're dropping all these charges that Kegan Kline originally had. I think speaks volumes. And so we'll just quickly recap that real quick if you missed that. So right now they're dropping 5 charges and amending more than a dozen others against Kegan Kline. So he had 30 originally. So if they drop 5 and then over a dozen more, that's almost half of his charges either drop or amended. So I know that's probably going to piss a lot of people off, but we'll have to see where that leads us next. Get cut back up on the chat. And then, so members, just real quick for my, if you're curious about members, I have the special thank you at the end of my videos, the top supporters. That works if you're at the top tier, the mob crew level. I was doing all the tiers, but when you get like 300-400 names, and names are always getting taken off and re-added, I just couldn't keep up with it. So it's just a lot easier to do the top supporters. And I think that gives a little incentive to be on the top tier. So with that, anyone's got any questions? I'm just going to check real quick. Thank you to all my mods. As always, you guys are amazing. I'm pretty sure Steve from True Crime Web is going live soon. Usually goes live Thursdays, so and I'm sure he'll be talking about Delphi as well. He was just out there. As a matter of fact, I think he was out there right when that search warrant for Richard Allen took place, which is kind of wild. So, But here's just a look at how close he was. Like I said, 35-minute walk to if he took that private driveway, which is just kind of goes under the bridge here. Wouldn't surprise me if he didn't even take a vehicle, or he could have parked a vehicle up in, the woods somewhere here. But 30 minutes just to get to where the girls were at. It's not it's not that far at all. It's pretty crazy. Oh, you're amazing too, Chris. Thank you. Oh yeah, like I said, I couldn't do it without my mods. Looking. Yeah, I mean, I agree. The public does have a right to know. I can see both sides for sure. Chris, have you thought about a show that takes a look at other unsolved crimes like this around Indiana? That would be incredibly interesting. Yeah, it's tough when you're a YouTuber. You have to kind of be covering cases that are kind of big, unfortunately. Until you get big enough, then I think you can kind of start doing that, which hopefully one day we'll reach. And then I'll have access to do smaller cases. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead. I think covered everything. Like I said, I just want to do a kind of a timeline from the beginning with the girls, where the clients kind of fit in, and then where we are now with Richard. And I'm sure more stuff's going to come out soon. But the next big date really is now November 22nd for these probable cause affidavit to be unsealed, possibly. So, with that said, I love you guys. Special thanks to the members and everybody that donated today. Really helps me out so much. And we'll see you guys real soon. We'll have some videos, and we'll probably go live maybe tomorrow or the next day. So now we're going to play the outro, the pets, and I should have a new pet outro in a day or two. So I love you guys. Have a good night.